Welcome back to another episode of Kicking It with Coach Red, where we bring you all the news, stories, takes, and opinions about your favorite teams from the Pacific North. Fresh from the good to the bad to the Mariners.
Sweet, sweet Mariners, baby.
Sweet, sweet Mariners are back home starting tonight, but we are going to talk about the tail end of the road trip in Chicago and in Houston. But before we do that, why don't I tell you a little bit about us? If you're looking for a guy that is not afraid to say, fuck the Astros, then you're looking for
Hey,
a
there
guy
it
like
is.
me, your boy Coach Red. You can find me on X at the real Coach Red, on Instagram at the real underscore Coach Red, TikTok at the real Coach Red. Also find the show over on YouTube. Search Kicking It with Coach Red. Like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and leave a comment or two. And if you are looking for a guy who has a strong disdain for the Astros, and he's not one for cursing, so he would probably say, gee, dang it, those dang Stros, then you're looking for a guy like Cain. I'm not trying to get
Sure.
the E on this episode.
That's fair. Yeah, okay. You can find me over Twitter, King2406, TikTok, and Twitch, King0624. Also follow the show's socials over on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Red Pod. Follow us. Do it, freaking do it.
Um, Mariners last week, 3-4 record, just below 500, 2-1 against the White Sox, and 1-3 against the Astros. All three White Sox games were winnable, and I'm gonna say three of the
Opportunity.
four
Yeah.
Astro games were winnable. I could not just find that clutch hit when you needed it. So we start off in Chicago last Monday, and Luis Castillo is absolutely dealing. You have Julio hitting a grand slam to extend the lead to 5 runs. Troy Taylor inexplicably puts it in such a mess that up 5-0, Andres Munoz has to come in to get the 1 out save because of inherited runners. So, I mean, you'll take it. I forgot to write down Munoz's stats for the pitchers because I was going to add it in later. That's what happens when you record on a Tuesday instead of a Monday. You don't get the last week's stats, but
Yeah.
I can pull it up. Um, but yeah, the next game you have Legumina start. Casey Lawrence comes in and throws a great
Yeah.
game, and the bullpen throws well. And then you have another opportunity for Julio up in the 8th inning off of the same pitcher to go yard for another grand slam. The at bat before that, Mitch Garver just gets frozen by a curveball, which while that pitch was going, Ryan Roland Smith is sitting there hyping up. He's like, "You're sitting fastball here. He hasn't been throwing the ball great. That's all you're sitting on." And as soon as he finishes saying that, 12-6 Bender comes and just locks up Garver. It's like everyone thought it, and it just didn't happen. And then Julio comes in, pops one out. So you're sitting at a spot where you think that you had another shot in that game. You just did not come
Yeah.
through when you needed to.
I mean, yeah, it's just where you had four in that game. It is a frustrating game to watch. Very frustrating.
And the White Sox, to their credit, I mean, each game was close.
Yeah,
Even the first game was close going into the eighth. And then you look at Wednesday's game where it's just a back and forth affair, like who can take the lead last. And luckily, the Mariners come out on top in that game. Then you go down to Houston, the return of George Kirby, who looked great. Mariners looked great at the beginning of that game until they didn't.
yeah, yeah. He was furious, George, and then he got a little
For
curious.
4 innings, he was furious. And then he
Yeah,
was furious at himself after the fifth.
yeah. It was not very great to see. I mean, it was fun. It was fun. He was wheeling, he was dealing, and then it all went to hell. So,
And the, And then you get to
Isn't that where
Friday, the
Tavares went deep
Mariners
again?
win game two.
Yeah.
And that was just kind of a business
Oh,
trip. Nothing too
yeah.
crazy.
You still walked away 6-4 on the road trip.
Correct. But then you look at Saturday's game. Wu has back to back errors as a pitcher, gives up two
Yeah.
runs in the first and nothing afterwards, gets straddled with the loss, but no earned runs, lose that game 2-1. And then getting walked off on Sunday by Jerry's number one target, Christian Walker.
Yeah. Yeah. That wasn't very fun because it put him a
Every win,
game.
though, Andres Munoz did get a save.
Yeah, the worst part about that series was that it put Houston one game back in the
Game and a half.
divisions. And I think they got the half today. So
No, I'm at 1.5 where I'm looking at. I looked at it before we recorded. So if they played way earlier, Mariners are sitting with the game and a half lead. Munoz, um,
just unreal.
I talked about, we can talk about national stuff because I don't feel bad about stealing that. But we'll pop into some stats here in a little bit. But you sat there and we talked about the MVP race for the American League, and it's Aaron Judge all the way.
Yep.
According to ESPN, number two is Cal Raleigh.
That's crazy. I mean, people are saying it too. They are putting Cal in the conversation. A catcher's hitting 250 and almost has 20 bombs at this
It's
point in the season. That's
it,
insane.
and coming off a platinum glove.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how often he catches too, comparative to most catchers. It's a feat, right? He's
Yeah.
in every game. If he's not catching, he's DHing. And then the other one that got me, so Hunter Brown, who we did not see for the Astros, had a phenomenal year. I saw before his start last week, a lot of guys kind of had him pegged as a guy that was on the short list to win the Cy Young. So I looked at ESPN's stuff today. Hunter Brown clocked in at number 6. The Mariners had two Cy Young candidates in the top 10. Number 7 was Andres Munoz.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And Brian
You're
Wu was clocking in at number 9 on the odds.
That's fair. That's fair.
But Munoz has been
Lights out.
bonkers.
Got 0 ERA still. Through I mean, I saw his stat the other day, and he's at like almost 20 saves. I believe he's at like 16, something like that. I think that's close. But just what Andres Munoz can do, it's just tough because Dan doesn't use him unless
It's a
it's
safe situation, which I'm
yeah,
kind of happy about, especially now that you have Legumina outside of the walk-off home run has been everything you
which
want him
was
to be.
also a weird call since he pitched 2 innings the day prior.
Agreed. But I think that Munoz was down. You only had Brash get you out of an inning, only
Yeah,
through a third of an inning. So I think you're running short bullpen. But
you
it's
use
one of those ones
Vargas.
where you sit there and you shake your head just a little bit. But you're gonna have those type of games. And that was the game where Dan Wilson, the the first ejection for Dan Wilson in his career was on an obvious strike 3 and went out to defend Randy Arozarena, who was not fired up. Granted, Laz Diaz earned the ass chewing because he had been terrible all day,
Yeah,
absolutely terrible all day. But just to go out like that was just so anticlimactic. They didn't even get it on the broadcast. You like come back for break that Dan Wilson has been ejected, and then you see little clips. You're like, this is the dumbest ejection I've ever seen. Like, apparently that's the way Dan wants to go out. Like, you had Lou Pinella in the dugout for a long stretch of your career. You gotta give it, man.
every time it the camera pans to Dan, it's just he's so deadpan
Oh,
the entire game.
100%.
Like there is no emotion on his face the entire broadcast. Like you'll see a slight smile when somebody scores and he's high fiving them. That's it.
Oh yeah.
I really don't. I mean, another inversion stuff. There's just some frustrating stuff. It's a lot of frustrating stuff with Dan Wilson. I don't know how I feel about him still.
I think a little bit is with the slew of injuries that you've been dealt this year, you're kind of in a spot where he's doing the best with what he's got. Do I
Sure.
love his bullpen selection at all times? No, but it's not that different from Scott Service, where you
Yeah.
find your guys and you ride them and you ride them and you ride them and you ride them. I mean, Topa, his arm shut down on him the year after, but you went to Topa a lot last year. Colin Snyder found something as the year progressed, and Dan Wilson went to him a lot. He's feeling very confident with Legumina. He's feeling very confident with Vargas. Those guys are getting in there. With Matt Brash still coming back from injury, and you're kind of limiting, he's got to have his rest day. He's got to get his build up. You're not seeing him out there as much as you would in a typical season. And Munoz,
Right.
he's saving him for save opportunities.
Which is yeah, I get some of that. It's just I didn't you have Spire?
You got Spire, who he's trying to save for left on left, and it was really tough because every game you're sitting there and
I mean, it hurts that
the
Jordan's
Astros
not
are full
there.
of switch hitters and righties. So it's
Yeah.
not like Gabe Spire could do much for you against the Astros unless you
Yeah.
liked a guy batting righty that was a switch hitter and you needed one out. I mean, it's a tough lineup, even though he's done well and excelled against right-handed hitters. It's one of those things where you just sit there and you look at it. I
Mhm.
mean, Bizardo's had his ups and downs. Colin Snyder's had his ups and downs this year. So reinforcements are coming. It's part of what we'll talk about after we get through stats and pick to click. But for this team to be where they're at, part of it's not
It's
just on Dan Wilson's bullpen allocations, if you will. It's
sure.
it's taking the bag, it's doing the sack bunt, it's empowering his hitting staff to get these guys not to just yank and gank. You're looking at them extending counts. You're looking at them taking their walks, they're taking their hit by pitches, they're spraying it to more parts of the field than they were a year prior. So when you add that all together, it's a mix, and you can't sit there. You got to take the good with the bad. There's not one manager out there that every single game makes every decision that every fan would agree with. If you win
Sure.
every game, then yeah, you're there. But guess what? Someone would still say, I know we won by 13, but why did we bring Leo Rivas into pitch? I really wanted to see Ben Williamson on the bump. Right? You're gonna find something.
Yeah. All right. All right.
All right. Well, we leave the room open for the reinforcements coming because the hitting stats are a little bit light this week. I've got four guys that we're going to highlight. The first one we're going to go with is Tavares. Tavares, 7 for 24 on the week, 2 runs, 1 double, 2 homers, 3 ribbies, a stolen base, and clocks in with a 291 average on the week.
Fizzle.
Disclaimer: anyone that had under 10 at bats, I did not include them on this list.
Tavares has been a lot of fun to watch. A
And the
lot of fun.
athleticism and poise in right field has been
Yeah.
good to see.
Yeah.
He
Confident.
is not, I will say this, he is a lot better at fielding a ball in right field than Dom Canzone. It's
I
way
mean,
less of an adventure.
it's yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, to think that he fell to them on waivers is crazy to me still.
Yeah, take it. All right. The next guy we will talk about is the highest average with over 10 at bats. And of course, that is Mitch Garver, 4 for 13, 1 run scored, 1 double, 3 RBIs, and a 308 average on the week.
He's just doing it a little bit more whenever he gets a chance. Yes, there are still the obvious just head scratcher, strike three takes that you know that happen from time to time, but the bat is alive a little bit more than Kind of what we saw all throughout the year. He's having a lot more hard contact. Even if it is going right to people, it is a lot of bad luck ball for Mitch Garver. You're
Well,
starting to see a little upside on him.
and you're including the game tonight against the Nationals that we're not going to dive into, but you're in a stretch where you saw three lefties in a row,
Mm-hmm.
right? So Mitch Garver's been getting that little extra play time. And with that being said, he had an RBI, had two RBIs early in the game on Sunday and had another one where he just laced it and you're just right there ready to roll. I think that was Friday's game where he just came in late and just kind of squared one up. Don't don't at me on that. But um Garver, what you're seeing out of a backup catcher, you'll take it
Yeah, yeah, one
in that
hundred
role.
percent, 100%.
All right, now we'll go to our picks to click as they are the only two other ones. So we picked the best two.
Yeah, we did.
All right, we'll start with Cal Raleigh. Cal Raleigh was 8 for 27, scored 2 runs, two doubles, two homers, three RBIs for a 296 average on the week. Um, had a couple of late hits that helped win the game. I think it was the homer, late homer in Chicago on that Wednesday game to
So
give them to really set them apart.
I believe so. I can fact check that really
Last
quick.
week was a busy week with work and stuff, so my days and times and got to see bits and pieces of Mariners games, got to listen to bits and pieces.
Yeah,
It's pretty sporadic.
Cal homered in the sixth. They scored in the seventh. Tavares hit a 2-run dinger in the eighth for them to win.
All right. So good week for Cal again, high average. We talked about it before, I think before the episode for sure, but I know we did it in here. But what he's doing average wise, power wise from the catcher position is you haven't seen this since prime Salvador Perez.
Yeah,
And Cal gives
it's
you even in prime Salvador Perez with the stick. Yeah, he had a hose, but he wasn't throwing everybody out. His footwork is lax, but like what you're seeing out of Cal as a complete package is bonkers right now.
I agree. Cal Raleigh
Cal
is
Raleigh, good at baseball.
good at baseball. That is correct. And the consistency, dude. Like I, I never thought Cal Raleigh could hit to the clip he's at right now. Like the home runs, I always figured were going to be there, right? I just
Well, it's a
never.
lot of those rollover ground balls that he was hitting. He's now hitting on a line. And some
Yeah.
of those are getting right over the infield. Some of them are going right to an outfielder. But when
Mhm.
you're hitting the ball hard and you're hitting it in the air, except for Julio's case, you get the ball hard and on the ground. And when you hit it 116, it's going to find a lot of holes still.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just the one thing is the torpedo bat from the left side has really helped Cal, but I don't think we're talking enough about how he's hitting from the right side this year. It's
Much improved.
it's better than it was last year. He had 11 home runs from the right side last year. I believe
Yeah.
he's got like 6 or 7 right now.
Yeah. Cal Raleigh, certified stud.
Yeah.
Stud muffin. All right. That was your pick to click for the week. We'll go over to my pick to click. Julio Rodriguez, 5 for 25, 5 runs scored, one double, two homers, eight RBIs for a 250 average on the week. Julio, most of those were in two games against the Chi Sox. Grand slam in the first game and a 3-run homer early on in the third game. We talked about this before the start of the podcast. Julio seems to be heating up a little bit, and where his numbers are at right now are not where you like to see them from a superstar. But Julio, in his short career, has been a very slow starter, and this is the hottest start that he's had for a year. The
Yeah.
defense still plays every day, every single day, and to have an 8 RBI week, it's a good week, even though 7 of those came in 2 games.
Yeah.
But an 8 RBI week is an 8 RBI week. You'll
Yeah.
take that any week.
100%. And it has been nice to see Julio playing with a smile again, playing like hustling out of the box, even. Like you just see the motivation again from him, and it's a fun watch. And I think that once another week or two goes by, I think this homestand's going to help a lot. I
Yeah,
really
it's getting
do.
warmer. You're playing some teams. Um, we'll get into that later about the matchups. So you got Nationals and Twins the rest of this week. Twins are a very good team, solid all the way around, good pitchers, good hitters. Nationals not as hot with the pitchers. They're a good team, but not a great team.
Mhm.
So you hope they take care of business. But then you turn around right after that, and you've got the Orioles coming into town, and
Who
their
are
pitching staff has been bad.
atrocious.
So you expect Julio to hopefully use this home stretch to really ratchet it up. And when he can do big things at T-Mobile Park, he it plays on the road for Julio when he's
Yeah.
running hot. It plays really well on
Mm-hmm. I agree.
the road. All right. Let's go to the pitchers. We'll start with the relievers. And as always, you have to have a 2 or below for me to talk about you. So let's start off with Gabe Spire. 2 games, 2 innings pitched, 3 Ks, 0 ERA on the week. Just doing Gabe Spire things.
Yeah. And, it's like he found himself again after dealing with the injury last year. Because he was this guy, beginning of the year, injury hit him, tried to come back. I think he finished the year in AAA. Uh, but this year, dude, had like
Well,
one
he's
or
the little unit.
it's like he's had one or two mistake pitches.
Yeah, he's probably had 3 bad innings on the year.
Yeah. So far, loving me some lefty Gabe Spire action. Got to support my fellow lefties out here.
Honorable mention to Matt Brash, who also had a 0 ERA, but he had 2 games and an inning and a third pitch. So you have to pitch 2 innings as a reliever to also make my list for the week,
It's fair,
which easily rolls into Carlos Vargas, who had 4 games, 4 innings pitched, 4 Ks, 1 walk, and 0 ERA on the week.
dude.
How Carlos Vargas this year,
I I called it.
like
I called it.
you you gotta have something that makes you feel better about the Gino trade. And at least Vargas has done some good things for you this year. Um,
God, you called me crazy at the beginning of the year for thinking he was gonna be decent.
I I had no problem with him being decent. I thought that was totally in the cards. The problem I thought before the injury bug was hitting was how long can he keep a spot? Because
Yeah.
you had some guys that you knew were going to make the rotation. You had some guys that got banged up and you weren't sure when they were going to be ready. Troy Taylor, Matt Brash. Then you had some more injuries pop up at the beginning of the year. So he's been able to hold his own and keep that spot. I think that it was around the time the Red Sox series, I think, where he was kind of flirting and he takes one off like the tuchus or something like that, or the foot. I was hearing it on the radio and he kind of shook it off. He ends up giving up a game winning hit, but just the grit and the gumption you saw from him ever since then, he's been a different character. And
Mm-hmm. Been
he's being
awesome.
asked to eat innings. He's being asked to come in clutch moments in winning time, high leverage situations. And what you're seeing out of Carlos Vargas right now is what you, when we traded for Carlos Vargas, you knew he was the piece, right? That's the guy that you were trying to get. And you knew the stuff was going to play, just didn't know if he was going to be able to limit the walks at the major league level because he hadn't done it very well in the minors. 1 walk on the week in 4 innings.
Yeah. It's
All
been
day,
awesome.
baby.
And I believe he still is out there. If he pitches one inning in a game, it's under 15. almost every time.
60% of the time works every time. Movies before your time.
Probably.
It's from Anchorman. Okay, let's go to our next relief pitcher of the week. And of course, it's Andres Munoz, who pitched in 3 games, makes the list because he pitched 2 1/3 innings, 0 ERA. He had no strikeouts, no walks on the week, but 3 saves.
Yeah. And the thing with Munoz, he can do it all. He can get pop-ups, he can get ground balls, he can strike dudes out. It's very fun to watch when Andres Munoz is
You want to
pitching.
know what would be great? You know how you can intentionally walk someone? What if someone was coming up against Munoz and it's like, I'm intentionally going to take an out. I don't even I don't want to get in there.
Like the everybody is starting to finally give him his flowers. He's getting talked about. What he's doing is unreal in today's MLB. It's unreal.
Without a fall off, he's a lock to be an all-star. It was a late ad last year, which I think he should have made it on the first go around. He's going to be a guy that you locked him up last year for, I don't know how you did it, but I think that after this year, if he keeps this up, you got to make it right and you got to give him another extension and actually give the man some money. I think it was like a 5 year, like 11 and a half total. Like it was bonkers. Might have been 8, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I mean, if he could keep it up for the rest of the year, if he wins an award at the end of the year, you pay the man. Your catcher just got platinum glove. You paid him big time money to stay here, so
you pay the man. All right, let's go to the starters. We'll start with Emerson Hancock. 1 game pitched, 6 innings, 3 Ks, 4.5 ERA, and a 1-0 record on the week. After you panned him, so you took credit for the Vargas thing. Be ready to take credit for when you said Hancock should never pitch a major league inning again for the Mariners. He's the worst pitcher since sliced bread. All these things, and guess what?
He's looked really good.
He's been able to keep it together. I mean, he's not immaculate. He's not great. He's had 1 start, I think, this year where like, holy smokes, phenomenal start.
But yeah, was that the one he was hitting 97, 98 late?
I mean, all the guy does is get you quality starts. He's going 6 innings and giving up 3 runs or less. If you're getting that out of I would even say based off of stuff that and swing and miss that Logan Evans has him in that, right? He's just working how to making that jump from AA on how to adjust to major league hitters because they're very good. And sometimes he leaves one a little too fat. But with Emerson Hancock, you are getting what you need out of a number 5 starter.
100%.
Above average number 5 starter.
I would agree with that statement at this point in time.
Maybe the best in the league. None better than Emerson Hancock. All right. Let's go to our picks to click. Ironically, we kind of killed this week on picks to click. We'll start with your guy again.
I don't think it'll ever happen again.
It might. We'll see. We'll start with Brian Wu. That was your pick to click. 1 game, 6 inning pitch, 5 Ks, no walks, 0 ERA, 2 unearned runs on him, 0-1 on the week. Yeah, he's made tough. Some of those plays. I saw the bunt. I wasn't watching it live, but I've seen him make that play before, and it was filthy.
Yeah.
He did not make it. He did not make it.
No, he didn't. It is tough. It's just a tough outing for him. Because he outside, we said it, dealt. Again.
200 runs in the first inning and then proceeds to go 5 additional innings after the first of just dominant baseball. And it's what you're becoming accustomed to. The guy's the only pitcher this year to have 6 or plus innings in every start. He's getting you deeper into games, which is what you sorely need with this team, because with the injuries you've had, with the starters pitch counts getting higher, especially Luis Castillo's been a guy that hasn't gotten deep as deep as you're used to seeing. You had Bryce Miller that was dealing with his injury that wasn't getting as deep because the pitch counts were higher. Same thing even with Logan Gilbert before he went on the IR. He was having trouble getting out of innings. So to have Wu kind of save the bullpen every time he takes the bump,
Mhm.
you got to give the dude his flowers, even on a loss week. And legitimately, the loss is kind of on him.
Yeah, 100%,
Well, and
right?
the offense because score more than one run.
It's also true.
But Brian Wu is like
Ace material right now.
he's a boss, dude. He's a beast.
I want him forever.
All
I
right,
want to keep shouting woohoo, big summer strikeout for the rest of my life.
and you might be able to here in a couple days. All right, we'll go to my pick to click. That was Luis Castillo, pitched in 2 games, 13 innings pitched, 11 Ks, one walk, 2.08 ERA, and a 1-0 record. No decision against the Stros. Old Luis Castillo's kind of been back outside of one start this month.
Mm-hmm.
Like this has been a very good month for Luis Castillo.
Velo's up a little bit.
Velo's up. When he faces Chicago in Chicago, he goes with this mantra of fastball. And guess what? It works. I was listening to that game on the radio and they were talking about it because that was the game last year where Luis Castillo, I think, threw 42 straight fastballs and they couldn't do anything with
I think
it.
so.
Well, Luis Castillo got up to like 29 straight fastballs in his last start against
He's
the
very
Chi
good.
Sox.
He was very good against the Sox. I mean, he was
He was very good
terrible.
against the Astros.
He wasn't terrible. Yeah,
Quality
he's
start.
back to come. You come into what he knows. It does seem like he is sprinkling a little bit more off speed as well, which as he probably should.
The weather's getting warmer. Like,
Yeah,
yeah. All
loosey
right.
goosey.
So before we jump into this week's picks to click, we will talk about last week's. So your picks were Cal Raleigh, Brian Wu. Mine were Julio Rodriguez and Luis Castillo. I think the win goes to me. And the reason I say that is because Julio, more impactful with his hits, and Luis Castillo gave you 2 starts, won one of them,
I mean,
absolutely dominant, and did
I'll
not
give you,
have 2 unearned runs caused by himself in one game.
I will give you pitching, but I will be taking hitting because Cal had a monster week, considerably
296 versus
more.
250.
Yeah. How
Two
okay?
doubles versus one double. He wins those 2 categories.
How many
They
more
both
hits did he have?
he had 8.
So he had four more hits as
3 more
well.
hits.
Three more hits.
Julio had 3 more runs and 5 more RBIs. So I don't know if you know this, but when you score, that's a run, and when you hit someone in, that's an RBI.
I'm
And those are
aware
the
how it's
easiest ways to win games. And Julio did it on both sides.
all right. All right, whatever. Whatever, coach.
Eat that L. All right, let's go to this week's pick to click. Kane, who is your pitcher pick to click?
I am going to go with Logan Evans this week.
Yep. Why are
Woo!
you taking Logan Evans?
Um, I just his stuff has been playing a lot recently. He has not looked very bad. He's
He's
starting to
got
figure
two
it out.
starts in the week as well.
Yeah, it seems like he's. I mean, we did say he does like to hang the ball just a wee little bit sometimes, but outside of that, he's very locked in. He hits his spots for the most part. Strikeouts are going up too. The longevity's going up. He's going 6 innings as well. Give me Logan Evans this week. Give me Rook. Having a good week. Coach Red, who's your pitcher this week?
I was this close to going with Kirby. This close. Be pitching against the Nationals. So I like that as an option. And he looked very good for 4 innings, but with him being on a pitch count, I decided to go another direction. And I'm going with Emerson Hancock.
Yeah.
So let's not pick the top two pitchers for the last month for the Mariners. Let's go with Logan Evans and Emerson Hancock.
Yeah. I like it.
I feel like Emerson can give you a start that we look back at and go, that's why Emerson Hancock was a first round pick, picked ahead of Garrett Crochet. Will it be dominant? I don't know. I think I'm looking for like 5 or 6 strikeouts, maybe one walk, and maybe get you into the 7th inning. The guy's been a quality start machine,
Mhm.
and I
He's
want to
looked
give him
very
his
good.
flowers a little bit. And I think
He's
this
looked
is the
really
week,
good.
baby.
It's a good week for it. It is because also the Twins, like as you were saying, they're good, but I think they might be a little struggle busting right now. It's hard out there in the Central. It's hard out there.
So hard. All right. Let's go to the hitters.
Let's run it back. Cal Raleigh is my pick to click. No surprise there.
I think
He's
he's gonna at least have a very good Tuesday.
he's gonna have a great Tuesday, that's for sure. Uh it's everything we talked about, right? He is kind of on this superstar like pedestal right now, right? Everything is going Cal Raleigh's way. Average keeps climbing. Home run totals keep climbing. The dude is unreal right now. He's probably also going to have some defensive assists this week, so that could work into my favor. Give me Cal Raleigh, Coach Red. Who you got?
I'm running it back with Julio. I mean, I'm
Smart.
gonna ride the hot hand, and um, if Julio can get a couple of multi-hit games strung together in a week, Mariners are going to win those games more often than not. You know, Cal Raleigh has been he. I don't even want to say that he and Julio are like Batman and Robin because I don't think that either of them is Robin. I think that maybe you have Julio as Batman and you've got Cal Raleigh as Alfred because it's not a sidekick.
Yeah,
I mean, those two are working in tandem, right?
yeah,
And
yeah. I
Alfred
like
kind of
it.
maneuvers everything as the guy behind the scenes. I think you're seeing that like Cal's exploding onto the scene, but it's the little things he does as a whole that puts that all together. But I was so close to picking Leo Suarez, but
Could have
when
been
Julio
fun.
starts heating up, I'm gonna take Julio, especially on a double down type
Mhm.
situation. I'm gonna take that all day. So same hitters, vastly different pitchers.
I like it though, because they have also been pitching a lot better lately. So be
Agreed.
nice.
Then you've got some games coming up against the a 3 game set against the Nationals and a 3 game set against the Twins. Twins are playing good baseball. They've got a better record slightly than the Mariners. Ty France is having a resurgent career, which it's going to be a Ty France revenge game, and I'm here for it. I'm ready. I'm ready
Mr.
to let
Walkoff
that thing.
Homer the other night.
Yep, I'm ready to let that thing play out. And I think that you started off the roadie so hot with the sweep
Mhm.
of the Padres in the series win against the Chi Sox, which was an ultimate letdown series. And with the injuries that we've been getting dealt, I mean, you just got to ride it out. And I think that the Nationals coming into town, they're a good team, but they're below 500. I think this is a team that the Mariners can get that confidence back to then be able to take it in to a twin series over the weekend and a very good Twins team and actually show up and show out. And then hopefully
And
take advantage of an Orioles team next week that's been underperforming by everyone's standard, hitters and pitchers alike.
that's true. There's been a weird case this year.
But we did tease it earlier. We'll talk about the reinforcements and some of the news shared by Justin Hollander. Obviously, George Kirby is back. He's on a pitch count of about 75, 80 pitches, and I expect that to happen for probably another 2 starts, if not 3. I wouldn't even be surprised when they do get fully healthy if they don't run a 6-man rotation for a couple of weeks just to kind of get those guys
Some extra rest.
extra rest. But I think the other thing is on any given night, anyone can be the ace. So you're not really worried about it like, oh shoot, we're gonna miss Luis Castillo start. He's going to miss one opportunity because you could see Bryce Miller, Logan Gilbert come out and just deal any day of the week. And you can see that. I think that if you go to a 6-man, that you probably drop Logan Evans down, just especially when guys start coming back.
It's just because Emerson also has the seniority as well on him.
I think it's more you want to limit Evans because of your tinkering with him last year. You want to keep him in line. I think he just goes to AAA instead of going back down to AA.
No, he started the year in AAA. He'll go back down to AAA.
I thought he was still in double,
No, he started the year in AAA.
but
Him and I think Garcia are in AAA. Or no, Garcia's in AA still.
yeah. So I think that you get him down because you can limit his innings and just have him work on stuff a
Yeah,
little bit more in the minors than you can at the major league level because you're trying
and
to win every game.
I also think he comes into in the minor leagues having a little bit more swagger, a little bit more
Oh,
just like
100%.
yeah.
But you've got it on the pitchers. Drop the pitcher news from the Hollander
Oh
presser.
yeah. Logan Gilbert expected to make a rehab start this weekend. Uh, Only gonna be his second game ever pitched in AAA. But excited for that. And then our boy Brycey Miller getting activated this homestand is the sound of it. So both pitchers back before June 20th would be huge for this team.
100%. And other good news on the injury front is Luke Rayleigh is expected to start his rehab assignment the week of June 3rd. So getting him back is huge. This guy brings more to the table
More
than
juice.
even if you're just playing him in the outfield, right? Because you can't really platoon him at first base anymore with Rowdy Tellez on the roster. Um, so you're going to give Tavares is going to see a little dip in at bats. You're going to give Randy a day off. You can even give Julio a day off and put Tavares in center. Like it helps make your team better in so many facets. I think that if that move is made, that you probably see Master Boney sent down when he is activated, maybe Rivas, but I think more so Master Boney. Um, because you've seen the glove play a little bit better for Rivas than you have for Mastroboni. That was kind of a glove first guy. And I feel like you've seen better base running out of Rivas as well, as opposed to Mastroboni. You thought he could get a little bit more stolen bases than I've seen so far. But the big thing that everyone's talking about right now is you've got Donovan Solano. I was texting with you. I was about to say it, and then he got an RBI. Donovan Solano at 31% of the season picked up his second RBI.
The problem.
So bad.
It's a problem.
I mean,
It,
his average is way up from where it was under 100. It's up to 171. And technically, he did have the highest batting average last week. He just did not get 10 at bats. He was clocking at 9. He was 4 for 9 for a 444 average. Um, I think that it's time for Tyler Locklear to be getting those at bats at the big league. And I think that from what you've seen with Cole Young this month, that it's time to let Mastro go down. And then at that point, when you bring Luke Rayleigh back, you could send Rivas down very easily. If you want Ben Williamson to go work on some things in the minors, you can do that. I mean,
I
there's
agree.
options, right? But Cole Young, with what he's doing at second base and what he's doing with the stick in the month of May, I don't know
Yeah,
what else the kid could do to
it
get a call
ultim
up.
it ultimately makes Polanco and healthy your DH guy, and I think that's 100% what they should do. I don't think that Polo should see the field again, and you're still an ever revolving door at second. It's I
You're
don't know
not.
why Leo
If you
Rivas
put
hasn't
Cole
been.
Young there, he's
Hey,
going to get multiple starts in the week.
yeah,
And when you're sitting there, you can, let's say you DFA Solano to get him up here. You probably you do that if you have Locklear, but then that removes Dylan Moore, right? Dylan Moore is still going to get his at bats at second base
hmm
against a lefty. That you let that happen.
hmm
But you also give Ben Williamson a day or two off, and then you can still give JP his day off when needed. I think that if you bring Cole Young up, you're still going to see Dylan Moore 3 to 4 starts a week every week,
agreed.
but you can still give Cole Young consistent playing time. And with what you've been seeing between the likes of Dylan Moore going against righties, Mastroboni, even though he did hit his first homer, and really what you're seeing at the bat with Williamson, even though that glove will play and he is a singles merchant, being able to add some juice towards the bottom of that lineup because Dylan is a very spike
Streaky.
valley guy, right?
Yeah,
When he's running hot, he's unstoppable. When he's not, it's a little tough to watch. But you're not seeing what you saw when Ben Williamson broke out with the team. You're not really seeing that from Rivas lately. You're not seeing that from Mastroboni. Yeah, you're
yeah,
still getting those hits out of that 6, 7 spot from Tavares, but give me Cole Young in the 8 spot and let him be the guy that gets the first multi-hit game in a rookie's premiere since Ichiro Suzuki.
yeah. I needs to happen this homestand. Needs to happen. A lot of moves need to happen.
You know what else needs to happen? People need to follow us over on social media. You
It's
can
true.
find me, your boy, Coach Red, on X at the real Coach Red, on Instagram at the real underscore Coach Red, TikTok at the real Coach Red. Also, find the show over on YouTube. Search Kicking It with Coach Red. Like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and leave a comment or two. Kane, where you at?
Find me over on Twitter, K2406, TikTok, and Twitch, K0624. Also follow the show's socials over on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Red Pod. Pause, pause, pause. Do it, freaking do it.
And as always, stay fresh.
Stay fresh, peeps.
Peace.